All right, we are ready to put all of this together now. So I have all my pieces here. These are my inner borders. I've got my outer borders. Two of them do not have the love bug pieces on them. You guys can see this a little bit better. Okay, two of the outer borders you don't put the little cornerstones on, and the other two you do. And the way I did mine was I put them so that they read not toward the middle but toward the outside. You can do it any way you want, but I put it like that so no matter which way the table topper is placed on the table, it will always read straight to whoever's looking at it. Just like these. So got all of this done, pulled out all of the basting stitches, got that out. That was tedious. And one of them, or two of them, I didn't even put the basting stitches. Just seemed to be a little bit easier. Got everything trimmed on the cut lines, on the triangles, those markings. And the first thing to do is you kind of work from the inside out. So the picture shows all of the squares like this, right? Or is it like that? I don't know that it matters, because then it will be turned on point like that. Okay, so the way I like to do this is to take a pin. You're just making a 4 patch. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pin and put it right in the center of the end of that card trick block, and then pin it directly to the center of the other one so that they line up. Hold the pin horizontal. I want to hold the pin horizontal. And I'm going to take another pin and anchor it right next to it to hold that exactly where I want it to stitch. I want those 2 points to stitch next to each other. I'm going to do the same thing here, in at the center of on the back, and then match it directly to the center of the one across from it. And then anchor it. Now when you sew, you're going to sew just right on the inside of this stitch line right here, okay? Not on the outside. If you sew on the outside, when you open it up, you're going to see that base, that stitch line. You don't want to see that. So I am going to sew right inside that stitch line, right there. And if I did it right, those tips will match exactly. That looks pretty good. I will press these seams open, and then I will use a clapper. I will press them open, and I will use steam on these, and I will press them flat with a clapper. See, and if they were any further apart, you would see the stitch line, because the stitch line actually goes over the very tip of the, these don't come to a final point right here. They're kind of flat. So you're not going to get like on a quilt block where everything, you know, where it matches an exact point. That looks pretty good. Let me do this other one. Let's see here. Perfecto. Okay, that looks really good. So I'm going to go press this open and use a clapper on it and flatten out that seam. If you're new and you don't know what a clapper is, it is actually a tailor's tool. This is from Riley Blake. This is their tailor's clapper. And it's made out of a special kind of wood. The wood is untreated, so it doesn't have any chemicals on it or anything like that. And there is magic that happens to a seam when you iron it Look how flat that is. Okay, you cannot get that kind of flatness without a clapper. So you just put some iron on it, give it a quick shot of steam, and then put this right on there. You don't have to use a lot of weight or press hard or anything. But there is something that happens with the steam and the heat and the wood, and you just get the flattest. I've known about clappers for years and years when I was in garment sewing, and I would go to sew on denim to get that real good seam on denim. Okay, so now you want to put these like this. I mean, I guess you could turn them all around, but I wouldn't. So I'm going to go through the same process now. Let me see here. That one looks a little, I'm going to do this like that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, I'm going to do the same process. And the way I do it is I start in the middle and work my way out. So I'm going to, am I doing? No. So I'm going to put my, I can see the 1/4 inch seam right here. I'm going to put my pin right there. And then I'm going to put it right there in the middle. Make it level. I want that seam to be, and I want it to meet exactly. All right, let's see how we did. Oh, look at that. That looks great. Perfecto. Love it. Man, that turned out good. And see here, I'm a little off up here on this one. Well, if I had measured this up first, then these would be off. So that's why you always want to work from the center and work your way out, because this can be overcome. Boy, that looks good. Okay, I'm gonna go press it with that. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I need the small inner border. I think I'm gonna adhere some Pellon's 987F on the back of my my border, inner and outer borders, and that's going to give them a little bit of something behind them to equal what we've got here and in the triangles. So let me go do that. Okay, I put some Pellon 987F on the back of all of these pieces, and it's just a really soft, lightweight poly that's got adhesive on one side, iron-on, and I really like it. I was turned on to that from my friend Christine at Jelly Rolls To Go. She's really good. Okay, so I'm going to take my two smaller inner border pieces, and the trick is to not sew over these points and also sew on the inside of that stitch line. So I'm going to sew this with the card block up facing me so I can see where I'm going. You always want to think about that when you're stitching these things together. And when I sew, this is a trick I learned from Islander Sewing Systems, Janet Prey. She's a very good seamstress. Thumb under, fingers on top, and roll it. And what this does is it creates a natural tension. It won't allow the bottom fabric to be pulled in faster by the feed dogs than the top fabric, and it'll stay put. So she said she learned that from her mother, who worked in the garment sewing industry. And in industry, they don't have time for pinning, and so this is how they do it. And I learned that years and years ago, and now I do it as a matter of habit. Oh, I just lost it, bobbin chicken. Dang it. I keep a little Missouri Star little thread spool here, and I keep my bobbins in there. This thread is a cone from Connecting Threads. It's a poly, and it's really strong. I use it all colors from them for this machine. If I use 100% cotton thread in this machine, my needle comes unthreaded all the time. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to start about 3/8 of an inch back from where I ran out of bobbin. Very good. Okay, I'm going to go press these seams open. Use the clapper. You know, if you don't have a clapper, grab like a grandchild's, those wooden blocks that they play with, the ones that are unpainted. Okay, I'm gonna go press this, clean this up. Now what you need to do, I'm gonna take a straight edge here, and I need a friction, and I'm going to mark from this center seam out and find center right there on all four. Got an email today yesterday from a lady in Australia who's going to be on the cruise. She said, well, I'm at the airport and I'm getting ready to go on my 30-hour flight. She's going to Missouri Star first, and then she is going to be on the cruise. So very exciting, very, very exciting. All right, so I can see where the center point is. Now, you want to do inner borders, the short ones, and then the long ones. So kind of pay attention to that. It just looks good on the build. So I'm going to put that center. Okay. I don't want that to move. All right. And I'm going to start sewing way out here on the tip. I got a text today from the sew and sale guys, and they said that the room that we're going to be in for our classroom is really nice. They're very excited about it. That looks good. Looking good, looking good. Okay, and the next one, match up center. Now if I'm sewing these wrong, I'm going to have to change out the length of that border. That's okay, no big deal. As long as it's all symmetrical, it works, right? Now I'm just going to press these. I'm not going to press the seams open, I don't think. I think I'm going to press these under. I love embroidery, you guys. It's like instant gratification, you know. Oh, I got to show you. So I stitched my ironing pad to the back of this, and I texted my friend Lisa, and I said, yep, I just did that. And rather than tear it out, because it was the heavy decorative stitching, rather than tear it out, I just cut the pad and left it. I said it will be forever in my February topper. No one will be the wiser. Can you believe it? Oh, you just gotta laugh. I got that pad from a book. There's a pattern in a book. Gosh, I don't even know if that book is still in print. But I said, oh, seriously? Okay, you want to start way back here at the edge of the other triangle. But you'll never know it's there when I put the binding on. Oh my goodness. Put the backing and the binding on it. Let's see. I thought that was funny. Okay, I'm going to press these out and then trim here to 1/4 of an inch on all sides is what we got to get that to. This is supposed to be trimmed to 18 inches square, and mine is not. Mine was about 17 and a half, which means I had to bring all of these down to 17 and a half, and I had to take apart one end and drop this down half an inch as well so that they'll all fit. Okay, so, and one of the things I do is this one right here is short. Starting right about here, it goes inward. And so to keep it square, I am going to use a scant seam allowance right here to even that up. But I have that marked for me, just so, because you can get away with a lot of stuff on these. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, and because this is where it's short, I'm going to extend it over just a little bit so that it's straight, because I'm going to sew from the other side so I can make sure to hit that point so that I don't tip the point. Yeah, if you don't hit the 18, that's okay. You just have to make your borders the same size as your square. So see how I'm letting this extend out past? That's going to keep me square. There we go. There we go. Excellent. That looks really good too. All right, I'm going to press this open and get ready for the last borders. If you press from the front, you guys watch out. Remember, you got vinyl on there. If you did that, you don't want to iron that. That wouldn't be good. Let's see. That looks good. That looks good. And that looks good. Awesome. Perfect. Love this. I really am glad that I did this in a lighter color. I think it just looks precious. If you use the same color thread as the background fabric, you don't get to see that cute little design. Aha! Let's see. Awesome! Oh, it all turned out great. I love it. Okay, one final press, and it's ready to get the binding. Okay, got my binding strips here. And the way I do it is I just lay one flat horizontally, and then I take another one and lay it perpendicular, and then I sew from here to here on the diagonal. Push that first one to the back, and then take this one and flip it like this so that it is face up. And my third strip. They say 20 inches. I didn't cut it. I'll cut it later. What I have here, this is called diagonal seam tape. It's from Cluck Cluck Sew. And so I just make sure to keep that V right there on that red line, and that keeps me straight. So I am going to fold this in half, wrong sides together, and get my binding ready to be sewn on. And iron it. When I sew on my bindings, I like to start kind of in the middle, somewhere, not down at the corner, but in the middle. And I'm going to take and leave a tail, about 10 inches or so of a tail, and raw edges to raw edges. And I'm going to stitch down to 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the cornerstone. This machine has a 1/4 inch line on it right here, so I know the edge of the fabric is right with that line, and then it's exactly where it needs to be. Back stitch, and then just fold it over on a 90 and fold it back over my fingers. Turn it. I start about a 3/8 of an inch down and go backwards first. am going to stitch in the ditch from the front, and what I am going to do is fold this over, and I have a thread complementary to this fabric in the bobbin since it's underneath, and I've changed out my thread color to be complementary to this fabric since that's exactly where I'm going to stitch. And that's another thing I love about this machine. The tension is so good that I can do this in no time at all. I just keep a tiny bit of the binding fabric visible inside that foot, and it stitches perfect every time. So see, you can't see the stitch at all in here because it's the same color thread as the background fabric, and then there it is on the back, and it looks beautiful. Okay, and then when I get down to my corner, about this far away, I'll fold over the side I'm going to, where I'm turning. Turn that over first and pin. And then get a good miter. If I fold this side in first, the one I'm on, for some reason I just don't get good miter. Okay, and then I pin directly on that. And I'll take a label, put that in. I've got two different kinds of labels. I have woven for heirloom gifts, and then I have printed, which is for like table toppers and stuff like that. I get my labels from the Dutch label shop. They were great to work with. They sent me all different kinds of samples and stuff. All right, finished! Yay! Oh, wow. This turned out adorable. Okay, you guys, all done. Let me put my head in this thing. Okay, so I want to show you how nice my machine binding comes out. You guys, I hate to hand stitch anything, so figuring out how to successfully machine bind was a mission of mine, and I think I've got it. This is the only way I bind my quilts now. So March's topper is the same pattern. So because I am going to be on the cruises and I won't be back until the end of the first week of February, I won't be doing a topper video for March because you already have all the instructions. Okay, so I hope that keeps you nice and busy, and I am so glad we got to do this together. All right, we will talk to you soon. You guys go sew something. Bye.